The city core was a shadow of its former self. Once a sprawling metropolis of sleek skyscrapers and luminous architecture, it now stood as a bleak and shattered husk. The towering structures, which had once glowed with the vibrant life of Aetherian culture, were either reduced to rubble or lay leaning precariously against one another, their once brilliant lights flickering intermittently. Krulak patrols roamed the streets, their presence a constant reminder of the iron grip they held over the planet. Ben and Liam crouched in the shadows of an old transportation hub, watching as a Krulak patrol glided through the streets below. These units were more advanced than the drones they had encountered earlier. Their sleek, angular forms and glowing blue energy cores made them faster, deadlier, and far more perceptive. Ben had no intention of engaging them unless absolutely necessary. "We'll take the alleyways," Ben whispered, his voice barely audible over the hum of the patrol's thrusters. "Stay low, stay quiet." Liam nodded, his usual bravado tempered by the grim reality of their situation. The city core was hostile territory, and even the slightest misstep could mean death. The archives were close now, just a few more blocks through the wreckage. But the Krulaks weren't about to make it easy. Moving with practiced precision, they slipped through the maze of debris and collapsed buildings. The air here was thick with dust and ash, a tangible reminder of the devastation wrought upon Aetheria. Ben's eyes swept the surroundings constantly, every shadow a potential threat, every distant sound a reason to stop and listen. They passed what had once been the central plaza, a sprawling open space that had once served as a hub for trade and social gatherings. Now it was a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered glass. Statues that had once honored the heroes of Aetheria lay toppled and broken, their faces eroded by time and war. Liam stopped, glancing at the remnants of one of the statues. "I remember this place," he said quietly. "Used to come here as a kid, before the war. It was beautiful. Hard to believe this is what it's become." Ben didn't respond immediately, but he understood the sentiment. He, too, had memories of Aetheria before the invasion. It had been a place of wonder, a beacon of human achievement. Now it was just another battlefield, another casualty of the Krulak's endless hunger for conquest. "We'll rebuild," Ben said finally. "Once we stop them, we'll rebuild." Liam gave him a sideways glance, a hint of a smile tugging at his lips. "You've always been the optimistic one." "Not optimism," Ben replied, "just survival." The entrance to the archives was located beneath one of the tallest towers in the city core, a structure that had somehow withstood the brunt of the destruction. It was a marvel of Aetherian engineering, its sleek design and reinforced materials allowing it to stand when so much else had fallen. But even this tower showed signs of wear. Cracks spiderwebbed across its surface, and large sections of the lower floors had caved in. "Think we'll find anyone inside?" Liam asked as they approached the building. "Doubt it," Ben replied. "The archives were automated. They didn't need much of a human presence, especially in the later years." They reached the base of the tower, where a massive set of reinforced doors blocked their path. The doors were scorched and battered, but still intact, a testament to their design. Ben approached the control panel, its screen cracked and flickering with weak light. He pulled out a small device from his belt and connected it to the panel. "Can you get it open?" Liam asked, standing guard. "Give me a minute," Ben muttered, his fingers moving quickly over the device's interface. "The systems are old, but I should be able to override the lock." The seconds ticked by, each one marked by the low hum of the tower's ancient systems coming back to life. Finally, with a sharp click, the massive doors shuttered and began to slowly grind open. A gust of stale air rushed out from the darkened interior, carrying with it the smell of dust and disuse. Ben stepped inside first, his rifle raised, his visor scanning the room for threats. The entrance hall was massive, its vaulted ceiling supported by thick columns that stretched up into the darkness. Holographic displays flickered weakly on the walls, showing long-forgotten data about the city's history and achievements. But the archives themselves lay deeper within, behind layers of security and hidden corridors. "This is it," Ben said quietly, motioning for Liam to follow. "The archives are just ahead." They moved deeper into the tower, the air growing colder as they descended into the lower levels. The deeper they went, the more intact the facility became. Here, the destruction of the surface seemed distant, as though the archives had been preserved in a bubble of time. The doors to the central archive chamber slid open with a hiss, revealing a vast, circular room filled with rows of sleek, metallic databanks. In the center of the room stood a massive terminal, its screens glowing faintly in the dim light. Ben approached the terminal, his heart pounding in his chest. This was it, the heart of Aetheria's knowledge, its last, desperate attempt to turn the tide of war. He activated the terminal, his fingers dancing over the controls as he accessed the secured data. "What are we looking for?" Liam asked, peering over Ben's shoulder. "I'm not sure yet," Ben admitted. "There's supposed to be a hidden project, Paragon. We need to find the files related to it." The terminal whirred to life, lines of ancient code and data scrolling across the screen. Ben worked quickly, bypassing layers of encryption, his mind focused entirely on the task at hand. Time was running out. The Krulax wouldn't let them stay here for long, and then he found it. Project Paragon, last entry, restricted access. Ben hesitated for only a moment before initiating the download. The terminal's screens flickered, and a low hum filled the air as the data began transferring to Ben's device. But as the transfer progressed, a series of warning messages flashed across the terminal. Warning, external systems breach detected. Ben's blood ran cold. "Liam, we've got a problem." Liam's hand immediately went to his weapon. "Krulax? Looks like they breached the outer security systems," Ben replied, his eyes locked on the screen. "They know we're here." As if on cue, the floor beneath them shuddered, and the distant sound of metal grinding against metal echoed through the facility. The Krulax were coming, fast. "Can we finish the download?" Liam asked, his voice tight with urgency. "It's almost done," Ben said, glancing at the progress bar on the screen. "Just a few more seconds." The sounds of the Krulax grew louder, closer. Ben's heart raced, but he forced himself to stay calm, his focus on the terminal. The data was nearly complete. Just a few more moments. The download completed with a final beep, and Ben quickly disconnected his device. "Got it," he said, turning to Liam. "Let's move." They sprinted toward the exit, the ground shaking beneath their feet as the Krulax closed in. The hallways, once quiet and still, were now alive with the sound of clanking metal and the eerie whir of Krulax weapons. Ben and Liam raced through the corridors, dodging falling debris and broken machinery as they made their way back to the surface. But as they reached the entrance hall, the massive doors that had once sealed them in were now blocked by a squad of Krulax soldiers. Their glowing eyes locked onto Ben and Liam, and without hesitation they opened fire.